officials in two key departments now facing serious felony charges in connection with the Flint water crisis.
The evidence shows they knew there were serious problems with lead poisoning and not only failed to warn people of Flint, but took steps to cover it up.
The Now's Jim Kirchner live in Flint. And Jim, this case just keeps on growing.
Yeah, Stephen, still far from over, and they are now working their way up the ranks in these two state agencies. As you said, 6 people charged, a total of 18 different charges. From the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Corinne Miller, Nancy Peeler, and Robert Scott. From the Department of Environmental Quality, Adam Rosenthal, Patrick Cook, Leanne Schechter-Smith. The charges include misconduct in office, a 5-year felony, conspiracy to commit misconduct, also a 5-year felony, willful neglect of duty, a 1-year misdemeanor, and an additional charge of tampering with evidence, a 4-year felony for Rosenthal. At a news conference, the Attorney General said they all knew lead was in the water and a serious problem, and did just the opposite of what they should have done to protect 100,000 residents of Flint.
Each of these individuals attempted to bury or cover up, to downplay or to hide information that contradicted their own narrative, their story. And their narrative and their story was, there's nothing wrong with Flint water.
Now, all 6 people know about these charges. They're being allowed to turn themselves into district court here in Flint. No one showed up today, but we'll keep a watch. Coming up next hour at 6, a closer look. How big could this case grow with how many people, and how far up could it go up that ladder? Stephen, Glenda?
Yeah, Jim, in your previous reports a couple of weeks ago, you're discussing the fact that the investigators thought that some of the documents from the governor's office and maybe some of the other offices weren't free and forthcoming as they should be. Are they still feeling like they're getting blocked?
Yeah, they are. In fact, there were public announcements a few weeks ago from both offices that they'd worked out their differences. But we found out today that's not the case. They're still being blocked. And get this, some Flint city officials and some state officials who are being called in with investigative subpoenas are showing up with lawyers paid for by their governments. They're lawyering up and clamming up. So how do investigators deal with that? We'll explore that later on at 6 tonight. Stephen?
All right, thanks, Jim.
Investigators